Hi Alejandra, hi Miguel, and welcome to your penultimate video lesson before the Easter break, before Semana Santa. Okay. Now, in today's lesson, this week's lessons, I am focusing more on exam technique. So I'm focusing more on exam technique. Hopefully you can see me okay. So we're focusing more on exam technique. What we are going to be looking at today is I'm focusing on, in your exam, is paper 1 of the Cambridge Advanced Examination, which is reading and use of English. Now, in this exam, you have 8 parts to complete. So you have 8 parts to complete in this exam. Parts 1 to 4 are exclusively use of English, and parts 5 to 8 is reading. Now, parts 1 to 4 and parts 5 to 8, as it's reading and use of English, they're one paper, but marked separately. So you have 2 separate marks for these. Okay, so I'm going to talk you briefly through each part of the exam just to get you familiar with what you have to do. Okay, so in part 1, you have what is called the multiple choice close. Now, you have a text with 8 gaps. You have 8 gaps, A, B, C, D. You have 4 words to choose from. The best way and best technique to answer this is look at what comes first and what comes before the gap and what comes after the gap. What would be the appropriate word? Even read through the text at the beginning before you add in which word goes where. Okay? So it's very, very important. You need to be careful as to how you answer those particular questions. In this part there are 8 points. So there's 8 questions, 8 points. In part 2, you would have what is called the open close. You have another text similar to part 1, but there's no options. In this one, you need to think very carefully as to what is the appropriate form or part of speech that has to go in here. So is it a preposition? Is it an adverb? Is it a verb? Is it a conjunction? Is it whatever? Okay, you need to think very carefully as to what goes correctly into the text. Like part 1, read the text carefully, and if you aren't sure, look back to see if it's right. Look what comes before and look what comes after. Very similar rules, but keep the same idea going. Okay, and then this is a little bit tricky, so the more practice you have with this, the better. Okay, in part 3, Part 3 is what we call the word transformations. Now, this is where your practice of prefixes and suffixes will come in. Okay? You have 8 words in which the word that you have to transform will be at the end of a line. Okay? It's at the end of the line, but the word at the end of the line goes to the gap. It doesn't go into another gap, it goes to the gap associated with that line. So, for example, inform, it could be misinform. Or information, it can be depending on what you need. Look at the text as well again and see, does it need to be negative, does it need to be positive, does it need to have change from verb to adjective, verb to noun, noun to verb, whatever. Pay very close attention and also be very careful of spelling, because in Cambridge, if you misspell a word, you will lose your mark. You'll not get a mark for that. Okay, so that's something that you both need to be very aware of. Okay, in part 4, you have the sentence transformation. So you have the sentence transformation. This is probably the most difficult part in this part of the test. You will have 6 sentences, 6 full sentences, a key word, which is why it's called keyword transformations, and you will have to transform the sentence according to the first sentence. It has to have a similar meaning to the first sentence. Be very, very careful with your answers here, because if you misanswer them, you potentially can lose 2 marks. So you can potentially lose 2 points. So there's 2 marks per question. Okay, so there's 2 marks per question. If you are close, you can still get 1. Okay, but try and aim for 2. Okay, you have about 5 to 7 words to complete in each sentence. Okay, so no short answers. You need to try and fit it appropriately. And remember, a contraction is 2 words. A contraction is 2 words. Okay, Now, I would say in the reading and use of English part, you have 1 hour and 30 minutes to do this exam. I would say I would give you about 40 to 45 minutes to complete this section of the test. So 40 to 45 minutes to complete a section of the test, because in the reading part of the exam, you will have much longer text, so it's going to take more time to read them and highlight what you need to do. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to the reading. In the reading section of this exam, okay, in part 5, you have what is called the multiple choice reading, okay? So you have a long text and then you have a set of answers for this reading, okay? Each question is worth 2 points, and you need to be able to highlight different parts of the text and apply it to the correct answer. You need to be very, very careful on this part. There are 6 questions worth 2 points each, so there's 12 points for this section of the test. Then you have the cross text, okay? Cross text, okay? So you have to do some cross-referencing to the text, all right? You have 4 questions, and it has to match accordingly. You have to cross-reference the text according to the answers. So that will be part 6, and which is 2 points each, so there's 8 points for that. Then you have the gap text. Now, if you remember when doing birth certificate, there were sections of a text missing, and you have to put in the correct points, correct parts of the text. Look at what comes before, then you have your gap, and then look what comes after. So, does the sentence fit? Does the section of text fit appropriately? The decision is yours. There's six parts will be missing, 2 points each per correct answer. Okay, so it's the same as the other 2 exercises. And then multiple text matching. This is where you have 4 texts, similar to birth certificate as well. When you have 4 texts, you need to be able to apply the correct text to the correct statement. You have 10 questions, and you have to look at what statement links to the correct text, okay? You need to read it carefully, as with all texts in the reading exam. Read them carefully, highlight certain parts of the text that relates to the question, and therefore you will get your answer that way. My recommended amount of time for this is about 50 minutes, okay? 50 minutes. If you work quick with use of English, use any extra time to do your reading as well, okay? So make sure you use your time wisely. If you finish too early, check your answers again and again and again. Don't finish and leave. In the use of English, the total score is 36. To get a pass mark in this exam, you need 22 points out of 36 to pass use of English, okay, for that section of the test. And to get a B is 27, roughly 27 points, and an A, 30 out of 36, okay, so that's roughly what you will need, because that goes in line with the 60%, 75%, 80%, and so on. For the reading is out of 42. So for the reading, to get a C, you need about 25 points out of 42 points to pass. To get a B, you need 32 points. And to get an A, you need 35 points. Okay, so 35 points to pass. Alright, so why am I telling you all this now? It's important that you know what you are up against and what techniques to use, and also to work on effective time management. After you've seen this video, you will both be sent by email a reading and use of English paper to complete over the holidays. Okay, to complete over the holidays. When you are finished, you type your answers, you send them to me, and I will correct them. Okay, all right. So, and I will give you your feedback accordingly. Okay, so that is it for today's lesson, and then for Wednesday's final lesson, I'll be speaking to you both on Skype on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, I'll speak to you in Skype, and I'm going to go through on my next final video before Easter. I'll be going through the other parts of the exam, which should be the listening, writing, and speaking. Okay, so listening, writing, and speaking. All right. See you soon. Stay healthy and be happy. Okay, see you later. Bye.